Good evening, everybody. This is a special live coffee time. No coffee. I don't drink coffee at night, just in the morning. You can imagine the kind of questions, messages, emails I'm getting because Colombia has kind of gone crazy like the United States. So what I wanted to do was talk about some specific things that are going on here. I know there's a few people that were visiting, and they don't know if they're going to be able to leave or what's going on. There's some curfews, so I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about some things in the headline, a couple precautions, one or two humorous items that's going on, and see if I can get you a good update. Now, this stuff has been changing, like, wait a minute, and it's different. And yesterday, Monday, leading up to yesterday, Armenia was no different. Everything's the same. As of yesterday, you're seeing people all over the place with masks. You're seeing, I have no idea why, but they're in the Olympica buying up all the toilet paper. I've got this theory that maybe people are thinking they can wrap themselves up in toilet paper thick enough to where it's shielding their entire body, and maybe that's why they need so much toilet paper. But it's a bizarre worldwide phenomenon, apparently. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about where we stand today. I just got off from watching the presidential hour-long news conference with all the medical professionals. It was kind of interesting, but I don't know. It's well, I don't get too far into my opinion, because what do I know? I mean, I'm not a medical professional, but you're seeing all this panic, it seems, but none of the numbers really matter. I mean, it doesn't matter where these numbers are, but these recommendations are coming for some reason, so I have every intention of following them the best I can. So what's going on? Well, here in Colombia, and I'll talk a little bit about Ecuador. What I talk about here in Colombia, it's almost a mirror image now in Ecuador. The cases this weekend in Colombia were numbered at 34 as of yesterday, or as of this morning. They're up to 65, so it's doubled. Take those numbers with a grain of salt, because bottom line is, people don't know. They don't know in the U.S. They didn't know in China. They don't really know here. All that is actual people who felt sick enough and they got tested. And so many people will have the virus and not feel sick at all. And of course, why would they go get tested? So nobody really knows. It's kind of a meaningless number. In Ecuador, it's about double those numbers. Now, there's a couple people that are dead in Ecuador. No one's died yet here in Colombia as of, well, about 30 minutes ago when I checked. In Armenia today, there were 20 suspected cases. 11 of those have been, sorry for the pauses, I've got to read my notes here. 11 have been ruled out. They've been tested, and it's 24 hours plus a little to get the results back, and they've been ruled out. They're clean. The other 9, they're still waiting for the results of the test. They'll probably have it tonight or in the morning. There's a good chance that, there's nothing there, but you never know. There's a lot of concern in Colombia, or in Armenia, about we have an international airport here, and there's concern over that. But now in all of Colombia, international flights coming in have been shut down unless you're a resident or a citizen. Forget it. They're not going to let you in. A cute comment. One thing I was noticing, and as I said, I'm getting message throughout the day. I've got friends here that from Armenia that are sending me little tidbits here and there. But we were kind of commiserating, or um, thankfully talking about in Armenia and much of Colombia. A lot of this you can apply across Colombia. We're very fortunate in that they've got a very strong home medical care system. I've talked about this in the past, how easy it is and how inexpensive it is. So you can call somebody to your house if you have any kind of uh, needs, and that's in general. Um, there is a social media joke going around that, from what I'm told, is a few people that actually thought it was real because it looks very official. It's like a news article, and with the picture and the font and everything, it looks pretty realistic. And it's talking about how marijuana is thought to be a cure for the coronavirus. Very cute. Um, it's surprising. You probably got a third of the people that see it think it's real, and the rest is just kind of laughing. That was originally shown to me, but I've seen it by several people since. By somebody who I was having a conversation with months ago about why I don't smoke. And yes, I did a long, long time ago, but I have very specific reasons why I don't and why I would never do it again. Because after you smoke for a number of years, you kind of figure out certain things. And that was the first person who sent me this article. Now, the dollar. Why is the dollar going up? Why is it getting, it actually, for a blip, and I didn't see it, went over 4,100, but it's been about 40.80 today, 40.50, 40.80, which is crazy high. It set all-time record. And why is that? Well, as of yesterday, the stock market just yesterday dropped 15%. In total, since this began, it's dropped 40%. Dollar is very strong, and while the U.S. is not immune and the economy will be affected, so far it's really kind of bouncing off. Where you've got other countries with smaller economies, it's having a more immediate effect, and that's what's driving the dollar up. Um, some good news that came out: the two first cases, both were contracted in Spain. One was that 19-year-old girl, another was a guy. They were the first cases, and um, those are now considered cured. They've cycled through. This was the first one was March 6th. So we're talking a couple of weeks. They've cycled through and they're out and testing clean. So that's pretty good news. I already mentioned the borders closed. There's no air entry. Schools are closed. No events. Very similar to what I'm seeing in the U.S. In Ecuador, if anything, it's maybe a little stronger. I think Ecuador tends to have more government control of certain things. So instead of guidelines and suggestions, they just kind of mandate it and require it. You'll get some of that everywhere, but that's more of the mode of operation there. And here, I think it's maybe a mixture. Um, Another headline: yesterday, the government expelled 4 people from Colombia. 2 were from Spain, 2 were from France, and they were under quarantine. They violated the quarantine. They booted them right out of the country. Yeah, no alcohol sales. I know it's driving some people crazy, and we can't figure that out. In Manizales, they've stopped the sale of alcohol. And it seems, I don't know, it seems a little bizarre. I guess maybe they don't want you to make your own homemade hand. I don't know. Another another funny, another joke that's being passed around on social media is that the border of Caldas, and if you don't know, Caldas is the department or the state that Manizales resides in. They say the border of Caldas has been closed to all neighboring uh, Risaralda, Quindío, Tolima. They're saying it's closed to everybody around them. Well, it's not true. And I don't know that it was put out as a joke or maybe people misunderstood. What that department or state is doing that not everyone is doing is they've got checkpoints on the roads going in and out of that state or department. I don't know what you want me to call it. Um, and what they're doing is they're checking for any recently arrived foreigners. Before they were able to stop or get control of it, there was a number that got into the country, and there, because a lot of people came from Europe, from Italy, from Spain, the people that are catching it here in Colombia, uh, they're trying to find these people. They're not really sure, and possibly it was thought that they went to Manizales, and that's why there's a focus there. So they're looking for recently arrived foreigners. Now in Quindío, a curfew was announced sometime today. I forget what time. That there is a curfew from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. And I know I've got somebody watching from Manizales, and I'll get to that. It's a little different there. Now, here is similar to the United States, where Quindío is its own state or its own department, and Caldas, where Manizales is, it's its own, and Pereira is Risaralda, it's its own. Tolima, that's where Ibagué is. These are all the big cities in these states, and they can set up. Excuse me. There's local governments, and they can set up what's right for them. So here in Quindío, it's 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. Now in Manizales, there's a truck running around town with loudspeakers telling people 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. So it's a couple hours longer. And I've talked to a couple people, what's the sense of that? Now, I do have a friend who's in the government, but honestly, I didn't even reach out to him. I just figure he's really busy right now. There's a lot going on. And so I just didn't confirm the reason this is taking place. It is taking place. And so if you're in Medellin or if you're in some other area of Colombia, either you have a curfew or they're considering a curfew, and the hours may be more or less. I don't really know. I didn't look in other areas outside of the coffee region here. Sorry for the ums. Oh, I got a notice from YouTube. It's like you gotta love them and you gotta hate them. So I get this notice that as you're posting up your videos, there will be fewer human resources available to review the content. Therefore, as the algorithm bans these videos, you're going to notice a lot more videos banned, and it may take some time before we can get back to work and do anything about it. I swear, YouTube, any excuse, to make more money, it kills me. So anyway, let me take a look at some of what's going on. Just some comments. If you're watching this on TV, there's live chats. You can see it on your laptop or on your phone, and so the live chat's going on, and they're having some nice conversations, some pretty good information in there also. Manizales seems to have went crazy a little bit sooner and a little bit more than here in Armenia. Now here in Armenia, if as I mentioned earlier, if you go out, it's a lot less people out and around. You're seeing a lot more masks. Pretty much everybody here thinks that wearing the mask is protecting you from catching it. They don't really get it. And if they're getting the information, they're not believing it. So, you know, it's so you're not spreading it. I mean, that's not new. That's been forever. When I was in the Marine Corps, we learned that. So it's not, you know, just because of the coronavirus information. But here you've got people thinking that's the way it is, and it actually in your hands, so it's not going to slow anything down. But if you have it and you contain it within the mask, then that works. So I'm seeing that. I put up on the Adventure in Grand Colombia Facebook page where there's a number of vendors, but I posted up one that's selling masks with these photos on it, photos of another face smiling, or of the Grinch, or all kinds of things. It's kind of cute, it's kind of humorous, but everybody's, you know, let's sell. I told you they're very entrepreneurial here. Some of those masks are pretty humorous. What else we have here? Okay, I think those are the highlights. That's basically what's going on. If you have any questions, 4 question marks, and go ahead and ask, and you can ask whatever you want. I wasn't planning this. I just kept getting messages, and I thought, you know, rather than, you know, keep repeating the same thing, I would just go on YouTube Live and explain what's going on here, the best that I could find out that's happening. There is a theory running around here by a number of people. Pretty much, it seems like everybody has heard this, that this virus is a conspiracy with Russia and China in order to bring down the American economy. But then I saw something where China is trying to say that the U.S. military was trying to get at Cuba, and somehow the virus got out of control and ended up in Wuhan, China. I mean, I didn't read through the, you know, these things are just kind of ridiculous. But, you know, it's like no matter what happens, you're always going to have flat earthers, and you're going to have all kinds of conspiracies. So at this time, there is a curfew in place in Armenia. I think it starts tomorrow, but I'll assume it's today. All of Kandil, the state, they announced from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. So unless you have a specific reason or purpose to go out, don't go out, because they announced this. And in Manizales, they're enforcing it with a massive fine that's, you know, like $800 or something in that range. So they're really enforcing it in Manizales. I haven't heard that here at all. And here, I think it tends to be a little more lenient, but we're not having the issues. I think there's a lot of people very concerned in Manizales about, you know, some foreigners that got in, and that there's a number of cases that popped up in Manizales. So I don't know. Good YouTube channel, live dates of numbers worldwide called. Okay, just. So whether it's suggested or it's actually being enforced legally, I would say the same thing in the United States. In the United States, they're suggesting don't go to restaurants, don't go to bars. Then don't. I mean, you really don't have to do that. Another advantage we have here in Colombia, through most of Colombia, is the entire economy circles around home delivery. Be it I need a box of nails, or I need some medicine, or I want food, or I want groceries, or whatever it is, you can pretty much get it delivered to your door. Now, a weird thing happened yesterday. I was told that in this building, you've got a guard at the door, and then they bring in, let's say you ordered some food for dinner. They bring it in. What they would do is he would call up, hey, is it okay to let him pass? Yeah. He'd get in the elevator, come up, and I'd be at the door and pay him, and that's it. Well, they said yesterday that if anybody comes for delivery, home delivery, everyone has to now go down to the desk to receive them. I have no idea what the point of that would be. Maybe it's to keep potentially infected delivery people from getting in the elevator and touching the buttons. I guess maybe. I don't really know, but so that's what's going on here. Any other questions? Anything else? All right. Well, I wanna mention to you. I'm not gonna. This isn't a sales spiel, but I put up this web page for the shirts and the hats and things. Take a look at it. I've got some of the logos and things have come in, and they're pretty good. A friend of mine in Ecuador, I've known her for about 12, 13 years. I told her what I was doing, and so she offered to do those. And then she was looking at the site. You could see that you can make posters and wall art, pretty much anything you can imagine. So she said, well, what if I did something? And if you go on, you can actually create whatever you want to create. You can even upload your own art. Let's say you want to make a t-shirt that said, get bent. You can go in and you can do that. It doesn't have to have, my branding or anything. It's just all on there. So she said, well, what if I make she's a graphic designer. What if I make some wall art or something like that? And I said, well, anything that you do that has, it's not to do with the Grand Columbia channel, which is, funding things, but anything that you do independent of that, we'll just split it. So she was all excited about that. So she's working on a number of things. And I told her, I said, you can throw in that category, any kind of cool, artsy looking t-shirts with maybe, funny, humorous, ironic, phrase or something like that. So I'm finally going to get to do it's Colombia, not Columbia. So I'll finally get to do that. So I just wanted to mention that because I talked about it Sunday, and I've had a few people say, when is it ready? Well, it's ready anytime. There's a lot more to go, but there's 4 or 5 different, I think 4 art logos of different types there right now. So I was also asked about my health because Sunday I was coughing. I had throat, and I'm better. I think it was allergy, but I get that kind of thing once in a while, but I don't actually get sick. It's rained more, so maybe it was a little more humid, but no congestion in my lungs or anything like that. So I'm fine. There's nothing going on there. I don't know anyone here that's sick, and the flu season here, it was pretty strong. It seemed like everybody was sick from the flu. I mean, the flu seems to be far more rampant than what's going on with this, at least so far. But I didn't catch it. A lot of people had the flu, and I didn't. I think I felt kind of bleh for maybe a day and a half, but I never actually got sick. So I've actually been pretty resistant since I moved from Ecuador. There, I was getting sick constantly. Primarily from the altitude. So, any other questions? Okay, well, thank you for those who watched. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for the people in the chat that have contributed information. There are some people here that actually need that information. I know one couple contacted me, and they're here until the first part, I think April 9th maybe. And so they're kind of stuck here, and they're just here touristing, visitors. So yeah, it can't be fun. It can't be fun to get a lockdown. So okay, well, that's it. Thank you all. You too. Stay safe, and Thursday is that interview that'll be getting uploaded automatically. See you later.